March 15, 2015. Carmel Valley, California. Clint Eastwood was walking up the pathway to his neighbor's modest house, carrying a leather-bound script and feeling more nervous than he had in decades. At 84, he was about to ask 91-year-old Doris Day to do something she hadn't done in 47 years, return to the silver screen. What happened during their private conversation that afternoon would send shockwaves through Hollywood and prove that some friendships are worth waiting almost 5 decades to fully appreciate. Within hours, the entertainment industry would be buzzing with rumors of the most unlikely comeback in film history, orchestrated by two legends who had found something more valuable than fame: genuine respect and shared values. Doris Day had been living in quiet retirement in Carmel Valley since 1975, far from the Hollywood spotlight that had made her one of America's most beloved entertainers. After her last film, With Six You Get Eggroll in 1968, she had walked away from movies entirely, choosing to dedicate her life to animal welfare and enjoying the peaceful California countryside. Doris had no interest in returning to Hollywood, recalled her longtime friend and publicist Charlie Cullen Walters. She had found happiness in her private life and her work with animals. The entertainment industry felt like a distant memory, but Carmel Valley had brought an unexpected friendship into her life. Clint Eastwood, who had served as mayor of nearby Carmel by the Sea in the 1980s, had become more than just a famous neighbor. He had become a trusted friend who respected her privacy and shared her love of the local community. Clint and Doris had developed a genuine friendship over the years, explained former Carmel Mayor Jean Grace. They would chat about local issues, share stories about their careers, and most importantly, they both cared deeply about protecting the natural beauty of the area. But what drew them together most was their shared commitment to animal welfare. Both had used their fame and resources to support animal rights, and both understood that some causes were more important than career success. They bonded over their love of animals and their belief that celebrity should be used for something meaningful, recalled animal rights activist Gretchen Weiler. By 2015, Clint was working on what would become Sully, the story of pilot Chesley Sullenberger's heroic emergency landing on the Hudson River. The film would star Tom Hanks, but Clint had been struggling with one particular character, Sully's elderly mother, whose brief but crucial scenes required an actress of exceptional warmth and authenticity. Clint needed someone who could convey a lifetime of love and support in just a few minutes of screen time, recalled producer Tim Moore. He needed someone with natural maternal warmth and the kind of genuine presence that can't be taught. That's when Clint realized that the perfect actress for the role was living just down the road from him. The decision to approach Doris wasn't made lightly. Clint understood that she had deliberately chosen retirement and privacy, and he respected her too much to make a casual request. Clint spent weeks thinking about whether to even mention the idea to Doris, recalled his longtime assistant Jessica Olson. He didn't want to pressure her or make her uncomfortable, but the more Clint thought about the role, the more convinced he became that Doris Day was not just the right choice, she was the only choice. On that March afternoon, Clint made the short drive to Doris's house, script in hand, to make what he knew might be the most important casting request of his career. When I saw Clint at my door with that serious expression, I thought something terrible had happened in the neighborhood. Doris recalled later in one of her rare interviews about the meeting. Doris, Clint said, settling into her comfortable living room surrounded by photos of rescued animals and mementos from her entertainment career, "I have something to ask you, and I want you to know there's absolutely no pressure to say yes." Doris, curious about her neighbor's unusually formal demeanor, encouraged him to continue. "I'm working on a film about a heroic pilot, and there's a role that requires someone with your specific qualities: warmth, authenticity, and the ability to convey deep maternal love." Clint handed her the script, open to the relevant pages. "I'd like you to consider playing Sully's mother." The request hung in the air between two legends who had known each other for years, but had never discussed the possibility of working together. "Clint," Doris said after reading the brief but powerful scenes, "I haven't acted in 47 years. I'm 91 years old. Are you sure about this?" "Doris, I'm more sure about this than I've been about any casting decision in my career. You're not just right for this role. This role was written for you, even though I didn't know it at the time." What happened next would amaze everyone who heard about it later. Instead of immediately declining, as most people expected, Doris Day began asking detailed questions about the production, the character, and Clint's vision for the film. She wanted to understand not just the role, but the entire story and how her character served the larger narrative, Clint revealed later. She was approaching it with the same professionalism she had shown throughout her career. After 2 hours of discussion, Doris made a response that would shock Hollywood when the news eventually leaked. "Clint, if I'm going to come out of retirement after 47 years, I have two conditions." The first condition surprised no one who knew her. "Any profit participation I receive goes directly to animal welfare organizations. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because you asked me and because I respect the story you're trying to tell." But the second condition would become legendary in film industry circles. "The film has to be shot here in Carmel. I'm not traveling to Los Angeles or any other location. If you want me, the production comes to me." Clint's reaction to her conditions would be remembered by Doris for the rest of her life. Without hesitation he replied, "Done. We'll build whatever sets we need right here in Carmel Valley, and every animal charity you choose will benefit from this film." What neither of them realized at the time was that their conversation was about to create the biggest entertainment story of 2015. Within days, German tabloid Bild had somehow learned about the meeting and published the first reports of Doris Day's potential return to films. The story spread through international media like wildfire, with headlines around the world announcing the most unlikely comeback in Hollywood history. The reaction was unprecedented, recalled entertainment journalist Nikki Finke. Here was America's sweetheart, who had been retired longer than many current stars had been alive, potentially returning to work with one of cinema's most respected directors. But what amazed industry insiders wasn't just the potential casting, it was the way Clint had approached it and the conditions Doris had set. It showed that both of them had maintained their integrity and their priorities, observed film historian Leonard Maltin. They were approaching this as artists and friends, not as business partners looking for a payday. The entertainment press went into overdrive, with reporters trying to confirm details about the role, the production schedule, and whether the collaboration would actually happen. Every entertainment show and magazine wanted to cover this story, recalled former Entertainment Tonight producer Linda Bell Blue. It represented something pure in an industry that's often cynical, two legends respecting each other enough to create art together on their own terms. But perhaps more importantly, the story inspired discussions about aging, artistic legacy, and the idea that creativity doesn't have expiration dates. Doris Day, considering a comeback at 91, sent a powerful message about vitality, purpose, and the ongoing value of experienced performers, noted gerontology expert Dr. Gene Cohen. The animal welfare community was particularly excited about Doris's condition regarding profit donations. If Doris Day returned to films and donated her earnings to animal causes, it would bring unprecedented attention and funding to animal welfare, explained Humane Society President Wayne Pacell. However, the most remarkable aspect of the entire situation was how it demonstrated the authentic friendship between two Hollywood legends. What struck everyone was that this wasn't a publicity stunt or a business arrangement, observed longtime Carmel resident June Bro. These were two friends who respected each other enough to seriously consider creating something meaningful together. As news of the potential collaboration spread, support poured in from unexpected sources. Tom Hanks, who was already attached to star in Sully, publicly expressed his excitement about the possibility of working with Doris Day. "Having Doris Day in any film would be an honor and a privilege," Hanks stated. "She represents everything that's best about American entertainment and American values." Other major stars began expressing their support for the collaboration, understanding that it represented something unique in contemporary Hollywood. When legends like Clint and Doris consider working together, everyone in the industry pays attention, noted actress Meryl Streep. But ultimately, the decision rested with two friends sitting in a living room in Carmel Valley, discussing whether 47 years of retirement was long enough. "The beautiful thing about Clint's offer wasn't just that he wanted me in his film," Doris reflected later, "it was that he respected my choices, my conditions, and my priorities. He understood that if I was going to return to acting, it had to be on terms that honored everything I had learned about what really matters in life." The story of their meeting became more than just entertainment news. It became a meditation on friendship, artistic collaboration, and the idea that some opportunities are worth considering regardless of age or how long you've been away from them. Clint and Doris showed the world that genuine relationships in Hollywood do exist, observed industry veteran Peter Bogdanovich. They proved that respect and friendship can create possibilities that business arrangements never could. Whether or not Doris Day ultimately appeared in Sully became less important than what their conversation represented. Two artists who had earned the right to make choices based on their values rather than their careers, and who had found in each other the rare combination of professional respect and personal friendship. The fact that Clint thought enough of me to offer me a role after 47 years, and that he was willing to accommodate my conditions, meant more to me than any role could have, Doris revealed. It reminded me that some friendships are worth everything, and that some conversations can make you remember why you loved what you did, even when you thought you were finished with it forever. March 15, 2015. A legendary director visited his legendary neighbor to make an offer that could have changed film history. Whether or not cameras ever rolled became secondary to the fact that two friends had shown Hollywood what respect looks like when it's genuine, what collaboration looks like when it's based on shared values, and what friendship looks like when it's built on decades of mutual admiration. Doris Day learned that retirement doesn't have to mean the end of possibilities, especially when those possibilities come from people who understand your principles and honor your choices. Clint Eastwood learned that sometimes the best casting decisions are also the most personal ones, and that great art can come from great friendships when both people are willing to meet each other halfway. And Hollywood learned that some stories are more important than the films they might or might not become. The story of what happened when two legends sat down to discuss the possibility of creating something beautiful together, on terms that honored everything they had learned about life, art, and what really matters. Some conversations change everything, others change nothing except your understanding of what friendship means when it's real. The conversation between Clint Eastwood and Doris Day changed both. It reminded the world that legends don't stop being legends when they retire, they just become more selective about when they choose to remind everyone why they became legends in the first place. Sometimes the right person asking at the right time for the right reasons is enough to make retirement feel like preparation for something even better. The possibility that 47 years of waiting might have been exactly the right amount of time to discover what collaboration means when it's based on everything that matters more than career success. The day two neighbors discovered that some offers are worth making, and some friendships are worth any risk, even the risk of coming out of retirement after 47 years. For the right person, at the right time for the right reasons, friendship, respect, and the understanding that art created between friends is the most beautiful art of all. Whether or not it ever makes it to the screen, the conversation was enough to remind everyone watching what legends look like when they're just being human with each other. In Carmel Valley, on a March afternoon, when friendship created possibilities that amazed everyone, including the friends themselves, they discovered that some gifts are worth waiting 47 years to give and receive, mindless, like the gift of being asked to do what you love by someone who loves who you are when you're not doing it. That's what Clint gave Doris, and what Doris gave Clint: the gift of friendship that doesn't need movies to be perfect, but makes movies, when they happen, more perfect than they could ever be without friendship as their foundation. What March 15, 2015 built was a foundation strong enough to support whatever they decided to build on it together. As friends, as legends, as two people who understood that some conversations are more important than their conclusions, because the conversation itself is the conclusion. That friendship makes everything possible, even comebacks after 47 years, when the right person asks the right question at the right time with the right respect for all the right reasons. Clint asked, and Doris gave him the answer that mattered most: not yes, not no, but thank you for asking. Which was enough to amaze everyone who understood what friendship really sounds like when it's real, like theirs in Carmel Valley, where legends live as neighbors, as friends, as reminders that the best stories are the ones that happen between people who respect each other enough to risk everything for the possibility of creating something beautiful together. Even if it never happens, the possibility is enough to make any day the day. Friendship amazes everyone by being friendship at its most beautiful, between two legends who prove that legendary doesn't end when you stop performing. It just gets more selective about when to shine, and for whom, and why, and with whom. Like Clint and Doris shined for each other on the day respect met possibility and created something more beautiful than any movie could ever be, the ongoing story of friendship playing forever in Carmel Valley, between two neighbors who became legends by being legendarily kind to each other when it mattered most.